Paula Deen was used as sort of like a symbol, but I think lots of people use that word inappropriately all the time.
Everybody is excited, and it's definitely something that is very highly anticipated.
Novak Djokovic has finally had enough. And when a man who has spent decades battling on the biggest stages in tennis decides it is time to speak up, the entire sports world suddenly leans forward in his chair. This is a player who has stared down championship points, deafening crowds, and the crushing pressure of Grand Slam finals without blinking.
Everybody is excited, and it's definitely something that is very highly anticipated.
So when he chooses to step into a controversy happening off the court, people listen very carefully. Because this is not just another voice floating around the internet. This is not a television pundit filling airtime or a social media personality chasing attention. This is Novak Djokovic, a man whose career has been built on discipline, precision, and relentless competitive fire.
You see those fools on Twitter. Sometimes they say some ridiculous things, but nobody in their right mind is going to do that to my face.
And right now, he has directed that same intensity straight at Oprah Winfrey, and he is not softening a single word. But before we unpack exactly what Djokovic said, and before we get into how Winfrey responded, the bigger picture needs to come into focus. Because this story is not simply about two global names colliding in a public dispute. The real heart of this moment revolves around a young tennis player who has rapidly become one of the most fascinating figures in the sport today, Alex Eala.
So it's great to be.
Alex Eala is not just another rising name climbing through the WTA rankings. She represents something bigger, something energizing, something that has injected fresh excitement into the tennis world. Her arrival at Indian Wells has created a buzz that tournament organizers could practically hear echoing through the desert air. Fans, analysts, and fellow players are all watching closely because they know something special might be unfolding. And the reason the excitement feels so intense is simple.
The other day with Alex Eala, that's been a talk, and which is understandable. There's some players coming from respective countries, like she's coming from Philippines, which is now a big deal. She's been the biggest ever, tennis player from that country, which is a big country.
Alex Eala's journey has been one of the most inspiring stories tennis has produced in years. She is not just a talented athlete developing quietly behind the scenes. She has become a symbol of how global the sport truly is. Her presence reminds everyone that greatness in tennis does not belong to one country, one culture, or one familiar face. In fact, Alex Eala has become living proof that tennis belongs to the entire world. Talent can come from anywhere, from any background, from any corner of the map. And while the broader tennis audience may only now be catching on, her Filipino fans recognized that reality long ago. Those fans have supported Alex Eala with the kind of loyalty that makes sports magical. These are people who believed in her long before the headlines arrived. People who stayed up late to watch matches, followed every step of her development, and proudly celebrated every breakthrough moment. Some of them even traveled thousands of miles, from the Philippines all the way to the United States, just to sit inside those stadium stands and cheer for their champion. That kind of devotion is not casual fandom. That is passion. That is pride. That is the emotional heartbeat that makes professional sports feel larger than life. And that is exactly why the situation exploded the moment Oprah Winfrey directed racial comments toward Alex Eala and those same supporters. Because in that instant, the criticism did not land on just one athlete. It struck an entire community of people whose only crime was supporting someone they believed in. That was the moment Novak Djokovic stepped in. At a recent press conference, Djokovic was asked about the comments Winfrey had made. The room went quiet. The microphones leaned closer, and everyone waited to hear how the most decorated champion of his generation would respond. And Djokovic delivered something remarkable, not an emotional rant, not a dramatic outburst. Instead, he gave a response that was calm, deliberate, and incredibly sharp. He did not raise his voice. He did not lose his composure. And perhaps most striking of all, he did not even say Oprah Winfrey's name. Instead, Djokovic addressed the comments directly while keeping his focus exactly where he believed it belonged, on Alex Eala. He explained that Alex Eala is currently one of the most highly anticipated players heading into Indian Wells, a competitor whose rise has captured the attention of the entire tennis world. He then made it clear that comments like the ones being discussed simply made no sense to him, because they had absolutely nothing to do with the reality of who Alex Eala is as a player or what she has accomplished through years of dedication, sacrifice, and relentless work. But Djokovic did not stop there. He pushed the point even further, explaining that people who make remarks like these need to understand something important. Tennis is not their territory. This sport is not their arena to dominate with uninformed or racially charged opinions. And when someone uses the massive reach of their public platform to tear down an athlete who has earned her success through hard work and performance, they should fully expect to be corrected, loudly, publicly, and without apology. That response carried the unmistakable tone of Novak Djokovic's career. Fans have watched him compete for years, and one thing has always been clear. When he believes something is wrong, he does not tiptoe around the subject. He confronts it directly. He says exactly what he thinks needs to be said, and then he moves forward with the same confidence he brings to a championship match. But perhaps the most powerful moment of that press conference was the simplest one of all. By refusing to even say Oprah Winfrey's name, Djokovic delivered a message louder than any argument. In the world of tennis, in any serious discussion about Alex Eala's rise and her growing place in the sport, the commentary simply does not matter enough to deserve acknowledgement. Now, the next chapter of this story belongs to Oprah Winfrey herself, because her response to the backlash has revealed just as much as the original comments did. Many people watching this situation unfold expected something very different. They expected reflection. They expected accountability. A reasonable response might have been a sincere apology, not only to Alex Eala, but also to the Filipino fans who felt personally targeted by the remarks. After all, those fans represent a community that has embraced tennis with incredible enthusiasm, a community that is helping expand the global reach of the sport in exciting ways. But that is not what happened. Instead of stepping back and acknowledging the criticism, Winfrey chose a different path entirely. She dismissed the situation and argued that these kinds of comments are normal. She insisted that everyone uses these words and that there was nothing wrong with what she said. There was no visible remorse, no empathy toward the people who felt hurt by the remarks. And rather than calming the situation, her response only added more fuel to an already blazing controversy. Then, in a surprising twist, she did something else that caught everyone's attention. Oprah Winfrey did not exactly take the quiet reflection route after the backlash started rolling in. Instead, she went straight onto the offensive and began firing back at anyone who dared question her comments. Fans expressing disappointment online suddenly found themselves in her crosshairs. Public figures speaking about the controversy were brushed aside. Even legendary athletes addressing the issue during press conferences were not spared from her criticism. And then came the claim that really made people raise their eyebrows. Winfrey argued that figures like Novak Djokovic did not actually have the courage to challenge her face-to-face. According to her, the criticism circulating about her comments was something that people would never dare say directly if she were standing right in front of them. That argument might have sounded bold in theory, but it completely fell apart once people looked at the facts. Because Djokovic did not post a cryptic tweet. He did not hide behind a vague message on social media. He said everything at an official press conference on the record, with cameras rolling and reporters listening carefully. His name, his reputation, and his entire career legacy were standing firmly behind every word he spoke. So the idea that he somehow lacked the courage to say it openly did not just miss the mark, it collapsed instantly. The evidence was right there in front of everyone. What made the situation even more revealing was how quickly the conversation shifted from accountability to personal confrontation. Instead of addressing the concerns that had been raised, Winfrey turned the entire situation into a personal battle, and that choice said a lot about where her priorities were sitting in that moment. Meanwhile, Djokovic's connection to Alex Eala runs far deeper than this one controversy. His support for her did not suddenly appear because of a headline. He has been one of the most vocal supporters of her potential within the tennis world for quite some time. In fact, Djokovic has previously gone on record saying that Alex Eala is the greatest tennis talent ever to emerge from the Philippines. That is not a casual compliment coming from a passing observer. That is high praise from a player who has spent his entire career studying excellence on the court. He has repeatedly pointed to her courage, her resilience, and her refusal to accept limits placed on her future. Those qualities, according to Djokovic, are exactly what allowed Alex Eala to climb onto the biggest stages in professional tennis. And he has also emphasized something equally important, her pride in her Filipino heritage. Djokovic has made it clear that this identity should be celebrated loudly and proudly. It should be recognized as part of what makes her story powerful. It should never be mocked, diminished, or twisted into a target for racial commentary from media personalities who have never stepped onto a professional tennis court themselves. But Djokovic is not the only legendary voice standing firmly beside Alex Eala. Another titan of the sport, Rafael Nadal, has also offered steady encouragement and support throughout her journey. Nadal's reputation within tennis is built on humility, respect, and an almost unmatched competitive spirit. When he speaks about rising players, the entire tennis community listens closely. And when you have both Djokovic and Nadal, two of the most decorated champions in the entire history of the sport, standing in your corner, that means something significant. These are players who have won every major title tennis can offer. They have battled through pressure, rivalry, and history-making moments. If both of them recognize something special in Alex Eala, that recognition carries enormous weight, because it reveals a truth that no controversy, no criticism, and certainly no careless comment can erase. Former world #1 Kim Clijsters has also stepped into this growing conversation, and the perspective she brings adds an important layer to everything unfolding around Alex Eala. When someone like Clijsters speaks, people inside the tennis world pay attention immediately. After all, she knows exactly what it takes to survive and eventually thrive inside the brutally demanding world of professional tennis. Clijsters spent years battling the pressure of the biggest tournaments, the relentless travel, and the microscopic scrutiny that comes with life on tour. So when she looked at Alex Eala's rise and spoke about it, her words carried the weight of real experience. She talked openly about how impressive Eala's journey has been so far. Not just the wins or the headlines, but the environment that helped shape her development. According to Clijsters, the competitive world surrounding Alex Eala has been incredibly intense, an atmosphere that demands discipline, sacrifice, and focus every single day. And that constant grind, Clijsters explained, is the real engine behind Alex Eala's recent success on the WTA Tour. Talent might open the door, but relentless dedication is what allows a player to walk through it and stay there. But Clijsters also delivered a message that connected directly to the stance Novak Djokovic has been taking. She pointed out that even with all the excitement surrounding Alex Eala's rise, she is still a young athlete navigating an extremely demanding global sport. And because of that, she deserves protection from the negativity that can sometimes surround high-profile players. Clijsters emphasized that the people who genuinely care about tennis and who genuinely care about the athletes competing in it should not remain silent when unfair criticism begins to pile up. Djokovic clearly heard that message loud and clear. His response has not been limited to simply defending Alex Eala in interviews. He has also taken steps to advocate for her experience within the structure of the sport itself. During discussions around the Australian Open, Djokovic reportedly raised concerns with the WTA about how Alex Eala's schedule and match placements are being handled. His argument was straightforward but powerful. Players generating global excitement should be treated in a way that reflects the scale of their impact. He called for Eala to compete on courts capable of holding the massive crowds eager to watch her play. Courts where every seat can be filled with fans supporting her journey. Courts where the atmosphere matches the magnitude of what she is accomplishing on the tour. Because when a player's story begins inspiring thousands, sometimes millions of people around the world, the stage should rise to meet that moment. And through all of this noise, controversy, and global attention, Alex Eala herself has responded with something that might be the most remarkable part of the entire situation: grace. In a recent interview, she sat calmly and refused to send a single negative word toward anyone who has criticized her. No angry responses, no public arguments. Instead, Alex Eala explained that she chooses to view everything through a positive lens, even when the spotlight becomes uncomfortable, even when criticism feels unfair. She acknowledged that powerful voices have sometimes aimed harsh comments in her direction, but she also made something very clear. She will not allow that negativity to shape how she moves through the world.